mixed use zoning, specialized industry, our first high school, and Linden City Hall. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Cities Skylines 2. So we begin with a huge amount of demand for absolutely everything. And that is something I want to deal with. But before we even get to that, I want to have a little bit of a look at overall happiness, because people are generally wealthy. There is a reliable mail service, which is interesting because we don't have a post office, but we will get one. But there is a problem. The healthcare is unreliable, and the internet is unreliable because the internet doesn't exist. And traffic, we're gonna ignore that one because it's me and no. So basically, the first thing I'm going to deal with is actually going to be the Postal Service and the internet issue. And the way I'm going to do that is going to be a little bit unorthodox, but essentially, I'm going to clear out 2 of these blocks right here. So all of these buildings are just going to go away. And I'm also going to get rid of this street because we need a little bit more space to play with. Now, what I want to do is go into communications, because this is where we're going to find the post office. And the post office handles local incoming and outgoing mail. Post vans and trucks pick up mail from mailboxes around the city, and citizens can also drop off their mail directly at the office. So this guy is basically going to live right in that corner. And the reason I wanted this entire space is because I've done a little bit of dabbling with this thing, and I've discovered that the post van garage is a little bit too big for back there, but it kind of fits nicely on the side of this thing. So that's kind of where this is going to live. And then these guys, mail storage extensions, which is just more storage capacity, it turns out that they will fit quite nicely at the back like this. Now, obviously, there's a bit of a gap in there, and I don't love how that looks, but there's a reason I'm okay with that. And that reason is because if we stick with communications and we go to telecoms, we can get a radio mast. Now, this transmits mobile data, radio traffic, and TV signals. In case of emergencies, the masts are used to broadcast an alarm, which will allow citizens to react even more rapidly. It can also be upgraded with a wireless network antenna and increased bandwidth, and it will fit quite nicely in that spot. So that gives us postal and essentially internet coverage, although I want to upgrade it with a wireless network antenna for better range and also increased bandwidth. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a road right back there. So we still have the blocks. They're just different sizes now. We have this awkward one, but that's okay. We can do something with that in just a little bit. And I do just want to check. Yeah, we've got rid of the lack of internet coverage. So we're doing okay on that front, but we do need to sort out the medical situation. What I'm going to do is essentially, once again, I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of buildings. I'm going to put a road through here to create a little square in this corner. And I'm going to take out this zoning. And then in their place, we're going to do a nicely upgraded medical clinic. We have some extra ambulances on here. We have another patient wing. And I think what I'm probably going to do is just decorate around this a little bit. That actually fits perfectly. So that's what we're going to go for. We're going to go for a small plaza right about there. And can I get some small parks in here? Can I get a small playground? I absolutely can. Can I get a dog park? I absolutely can. I think what we'll do is we'll go for the dog park. And we'll go for the small playground. And it's thrown together, but it's going to serve a purpose. It provides leisure, it provides relaxation, and it's going to keep people nice and happy. And so now the unreliable healthcare coverage is gone. It just disappeared in time, which is absolutely perfect. So people are more or less as happy as they're going to be. Traffic is obviously something that I probably do need to deal with, and it is a bit of a problem. This roundabout occasionally backs up and there are some traffic jams here and there, but I have an idea for how to fix that as well. And it's sort of a 2-step thing. So step number 1 is going to be that I want to build another block just through here. And then I want to go ahead and put a little road right about here. And I'm going to build a road maintenance depot because we never built one of these in that first episode. And this is, well, it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal simply because it looks after your roads and it helps to, I mean, we can click on it. It's the base of operations for road maintenance personnel, their tools and vehicles. It comprises road repairs, snow clearing, traffic accident cleanup, etc., etc. So it's a relatively important building and I forgot to build it. And then the second thing I want to do is I want to upgrade this road. And I was a little bit concerned about how I was going to do this because obviously when you go in and upgrade it this way, it sort of shuffles the road along a little bit. And I didn't know if I wanted to do that. So you can turn off the snap to zoning cell length. And that will allow you to upgrade the road in place sort of equally on either side. But if you notice, that would totally mess up my zoning. That would totally mess up my cells. So what I actually do want is to shuffle the road down a little bit, which means this block is going to be a little bit thinner, which is honestly okay. And it means we will have a larger road the entire way across here without totally screwing up all of the zoning, which is what we're looking for. And you know, I think this might be a really good opportunity to talk about what we unlocked when we became a tiny town, because today we are going to be going from essentially being a grand village is where we left off. We did reach tiny town at the end of the last episode. We weren't supposed to do that. But as a part of becoming a tiny town, we unlocked mixed housing. And that's kind of the big thing in Cities Skylines II. That's one of the big things anyway. And I'm really excited to have a look at mixed housing. Communications was also something we unlocked as a tiny town. We've just gone ahead and done a bit of that. We also got some policies here. I'll hover over each of them. We've got pre-release programs, roadside parking fees, recycling, speed bumps, and energy consumption awareness. If you want to read the descriptions, I hovered over each of them. Feel free to pause. We're going to be going from here up to Big Town today. That's the goal. So I think it's about time that we have a look at this mixed use zoning. And that's why I've cleared out this space in the middle, because it's kind of going to be a decent spot for it. We also have demand, in fairness, for some low rent housing as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to just de-zone all of this. Now, I know these guys here are some service buildings. We have a firehouse. We have a police station, I want to say. I think that is. Yeah, that's a police station. And then over here, we just had some commercial, I'm pretty sure. But we'll clear all of that out. And what we'll do is go in and say that this is going to be mixed use and this is going to be mixed use. And I'm going to say that these guys here are also going to be mixed use zoning. And so while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm going to go ahead and get a few tiles over here because I want to start looking at some industry, which is something we never really got around to in that first episode of the series. And I think maybe that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab those three, which is all seven. $209,000 to grab those is totally fine. But before we do that, I want to have a look at my development points because we haven't quite got everything that we could be using just yet. The other thing I probably want to get my hands on will be highways and intersections. But to get intersections, I need large roads. So what I'm going to do is get highways. I'm going to get large roads. And I'm going to get the college. I'm not necessarily going to build the college today, but I'm going to get it just in case. And we're very close to hitting the next milestone. We're very close to being a boom town. So once we hit boom town, we'll go ahead and get ourselves the intersections. And I think we might. Do I want aircraft? I don't think we're going to be going. I don't think we're going to be going for an airport today. We might go for something else in here, but the only certainty will be intersections. Now, I should probably explain why I want to look at industries and specifically the unique industries, because we don't really have, well, we have demand for industry, but we have more demand for offices, and that is something we should be dealing with. But I want to draw your attention to the production panel, because what we can see here is that we have a deficit of wood, 73.3 tons per month. We have a deficit of 138 tons per month of grain. We have 44.1 tons per month of livestock, and so on and so on. We need all of these things. And what we're doing, if we're not producing it, is we're importing it. And if we're importing it, we're spending money, which we don't have a lot of. We have $2,637 per hour, which is fine, but it could be better if we weren't necessarily importing wood, which is a pretty basic resource. So what we're going to do is go to forestry. We have this little road down here, which I'm going to be honest with you. This road is specifically built in such a way that it is technically, it's adjacent. Adjacent isn't the word I'm looking for, but it's, you know, we can get it to be parallel to everything that I've built so far, essentially. I measured it out very carefully on purpose because I wanted it to line up a very particular way. Basically, my idea is we can go to this tool. We can get the area tool. And we can use this to paint ourselves a nice area for this industry, which is the whole point. And so this right here is our forestry industry, and we could expand it down this way if we wanted to. Well, I say expand it. We could build another one down here if we wanted to, which I don't necessarily want to do just yet. But what I do want to do is I want to come through here with just a very simple road that's going to come out like this. And this is going to be how we get into this space. So we'll go about 200 meters. And basically, I'm going to need to bring this avenue all the way over here in one way or other. So let's see, what way do I want to do that? Oh, and apparently we've hit milestone 6, which is fantastic. We are now a boom town. We get 6 more development points. We get 8 more map tiles. Let's have a look at our development panel. We want the intersections, which is absolutely a must-have. And we have 2 points left. I'm going to get a gas power plant because I think we've been seeing some complaints on good old Chirper that have been saying that we don't have enough power. So I think a gas power plant is probably a pretty good idea. So here's the other reason I wanted those extra map tiles. I want to be able to come down here, grab all of this, and I want to put an intersection in here so that we have another way. Oh, all right. We got another signature building. Thank you for that. I want these map tiles though, so I can put an intersection in there and actually have another way into the city via this new road that we've built. And now here's the interesting little thing about intersections in City Skylines 2. And this is something I only realized very, very recently. It's a very, very cool feature. By the way, there are so many of them and they look absolutely amazing. I love all of these. I love all of these. It makes me so happy that I don't have to build these. But here's the interesting thing about something like a trumpet interchange, which is what I'm going to use here because I'm lazy. I don't have to demolish the existing highway. I can just sort of overlap it like this and it just sort of connects. It just sort of works. And there we go. We've got people using this new entrance to the city, which is absolutely fantastic. It is a little bit janky, I will say. I wasn't really planning on having it sort of cut across like this, but it was going to be near impossible to line this thing up perfectly with this road. So I figured I'd put it over here where things are a little bit straighter, and then we'll just sort of cut across like this, which is honestly okay. It does the job. It's nothing, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. It does what I need it to do. And it should deal with some of the stresses that the city might face. Now, this is interesting, and this is why I decided to unlock the gas power plant. We do not produce enough electricity. We are actually importing electricity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and I'm going to bulldoze a lot of things here. I'm going to bulldoze this power plant, which was the coal power plants. I'm also going to bulldoze these buildings. That includes a transformer right there, which is totally fine. And I'm also going to bulldoze this entire block because we kind of need this space because this is where the new power plant's going to go. And just in case you are wondering how big the gas power plant is, it's this big. It is absolutely huge. But if I put it down there, it's actually on a nice little level piece of land, which is what I'm looking for. And then back here, what I can do is get my slope terrain tool, go from here to there. We can just slope down like this, and we'll go ahead and just put that road right back where it was, since we do kind of need it. So it can live right about there. The zoning's totally fine. We're going to have some zoning behind this thing as well, which I'm kind of okay with. And then what we'll do is use the slope terrain tool to go from here to there. And we'll just slope down like this and see what this would look like. I'm hoping for good things, but I'm not. You know what? Actually, I'll allow it. I forgot that roads in City Skylines 2 actually do this whole thing with, having a foundation underneath them. So I'm kind of wondering, actually, can I just push this? Yeah, I can kind of just push this right back. And it honestly actually looks okay. Now, when it comes to the gas power plant, by the way, overabundance of electricity, which is fantastic. But when it comes to this guy, it is expensive. We're also not making all that much money anymore. But we do have some upgrades. We can extend the storage if I hadn't, built roads around it. We can also get an advanced furnace, which is basically going to provide a more efficient burn process that allows the same power output with less fuel. We can get an exhaust filter, which is going to reduce the air pollution. And we can get another turbine, which is good as well. But again, we are not going to be doing that because we can't necessarily afford it. But if we do look in here, we are exporting quite a lot of power, which is absolutely fantastic news. If we look in this way and we go to production or we go to budget, yeah, we're now getting 244,000 per, I want to say month for the exported electricity. Now, when it comes to getting a high school in here, I'm thinking it's probably going to go in this space, or it could go down here. We could try and turn this little space into something, but it's a little close to the industry. So I don't know. I like the idea of putting it down by the water. I think that'd be kind of a cool spot for it. Now, I've already extended a road out here, which is probably going to be a really useful road, but it's also probably going to be really busy. So I'm going to upgrade this into a medium road. We're not going to do a divided road. We'll do the regular 4-lane road, and we're going to have to shuffle this down by a little bit, which means that we are going to be messing with some zoning here, which I don't love doing. I don't love that we have to do this, but we do have to do this. So I might have gotten slightly carried away when it came to laying out roads and figuring out the high school, but at the very least, we are making a lot of money, and we also now have a high school, which means that we shouldn't, for too long anyway, have to worry about there not being enough educated Sims in our city. We also happen to have a lot of space that we can zone now. So what I'm going to do is just fill the rest of this space here with some row houses. And once this builds up, I'm going to try and fill a lot of this space with mixed use zoning, probably some offices and something that's not just row houses all over again. Because look, the only reason I'm putting them here is because it helps with the general look of this area. But the rest of this is 100% going to be something else. In fact, I might go so far as saying that this space could maybe use the North American type buildings, because we do have what looks to be an American football field here. You know, now that I think about it, we should probably take a look at our other city services. So fire and rescue is actually not that bad, all things considered. It's not great in this space, but by the looks of it, if I was to go ahead and just put a little station down here, everything would be okay. So I think that's maybe what we're going to go ahead and do, is turn this little space into maybe some services again. That might not be a terrible idea. So we'll do a little fire department there, and that gives us milestone 7, which is fantastic. That's 1.6 million. That's another 7 development points, another 9 map tiles. And it means we're one step away from being a big town, which is as far as we can go today. But we did get the gated community, which is basically City Skylines 2's version of the old town policy from the first game. So I'm not going to complain about that. Now, what am I going to spend my points on? What do we need? A water treatment plant would actually be a really good idea, because right now we're just dumping sewage into the river. So we'll go ahead and get that. A crematorium would be a good idea. We do seem to have issues with death care. A hospital would be really cool, so we might want to grab that. The incineration plant would be good as well, because it does mean, actually, you know what? Let's recycling center though. That would also give us reusable materials, and it also gives us income for the city. Oh, do I want a hospital? Oh, I'm going to go for the incineration plant. I'm going to go for the hospital simply because I think it's going to look more interesting. The recycling center would give us materials, but here's the thing. A hospital, for one, is huge. And for two, it's going to look really cool in this space. It's also, you know, I mean, it's going to look good near the high school, basically, is my thinking. How much is this, by the way? 1.8 million? It's 775,000 a month. Oh, I mean, we can afford it. We're only down to 25,000, but good Lord, that's expensive. We can do a helipad as well, which is a little expensive, but I'm going to do it because I think a helipad's good. A specialized treatment ward gets built onto the side, and a trauma center is just a general upgrade. 80,000 a month, 100,000 a month. Good Lord. And you know, as weird as it might be to have these North American style apartment buildings here, I do kind of like it. I think it is kind of cool. So I'm going to go ahead and keep those. And I think I'm also going to say that I want to do some North American mixed zoning in here as well. So I'm going to just say that all of this, and this are going to be mixed use zoning. We're going to take that little bit out. I don't know if the little bit down there is actually going to build, but we'll go ahead and put that. Oh, it is going to build. Fantastic. We'll go ahead and put that all in there, which is going to take a while to come together. But my thinking is that when it does, I can bring some paths around. I mean, I can bring the paths around now if I want to, but what I want to do is have these paths just go right alongside the buildings. And then we can go ahead and just have this whole space be like a park or something like that. I'm not really too sure what it's going to be, but I am really curious to see what the mixed use North American buildings look like. And we're also getting a lot of demand for actual genuine commercial zoning as well. So we might want to deal with that. Oh no, this is interesting. We're having some power problems, but if we look in here, we are producing enough electricity. Now this is actually something that's new to City Skylines 2. It's something that I think we've talked about in one of the feature highlight videos. It's this. It's actually that we've managed to have an electricity bottleneck right here. And what that means essentially is that this is the only way for power to flow from the power plant, which in this case is true. This is the only connection to the rest of the city. So there's actually a relatively simple solution to this. And it's part of why I extended this road over here. And if I know my City Skylines 2, which I'm getting there, I'm starting to think that I do know a little bit about City Skylines 2, we should no longer have that bottleneck, and we don't, which means power flows to everything because now it has this other way of going around essentially. And I'm also going to say that this corner can probably go away. We can make this look a little bit better by just putting some cuts in like this and making this just curve around as well, just so it kind of matches what we got going on down here. And I think that does look a little bit better. That is also hopefully going to take some of the traffic away from this space, of which there is a lot. So that is going to serve sort of two purposes. This is also something we can expand out into at some point. I don't know if we're necessarily going to do that today, but what I will say is we should probably build this incineration plant, which is, well, it's a little chunky. It's definitely a big old building, but we do have a space for it right there. And it is going to be useful for power. So I think we're going to go ahead and do it. We are going to lose some of that. Ooh, now hold on a minute. That's not good. Oh, no. I would like my 750,000 back. Thank you very much. And, I might have to reconsider. Might have to figure that out slightly differently. Let's get rid of these buildings and we'll put the incineration plant up there. That seems like a much better spot for it. We actually don't have that much money, but this is going to give us more power as it starts to burn garbage. So this is potentially going to give us some money eventually, which would be lovely. I actually can't put it all that close to the road there either, which is a little bit frustrating, but I guess we'll do this. Oh, it's because it messes with the terrain. I mean, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. It's just a little frustrating that I can't, get it right up against that road. I guess that's about as good as it's going to be, which, yeah, I can live with that. As for the rest of these guys, we're going to bulldoze some buildings here. And I guess, honestly, let's just kind of, redo the layout in here because things are a little bit chaotic right now. Now, I will say we're not sitting on as much money as I would like to be sitting on, but we are still making money. And if we look at production, we actually have a pretty healthy surplus of wood now. So absolutely no complaints about that. But I will say, I do think we might want to look into exporting that wood via train. Okay, I'm really excited about this. We have train tracks going all the way down here. It goes over the top of the roundabout, which I think looks really cool, actually. And it comes all the way out here. It stays relatively level the entire way. Ignore the smoke or smoke. And then it merges with this and heads out to the region. So the only thing I've got to do is I've got to go in here and essentially I could upgrade this. I could do some warehouses if I wanted to, which I might. I'm not necessarily against the idea of expanding this thing a little bit. We'll do a warehouse because we can afford to do a warehouse there. But what I need to do is go and set up a cargo railway route. So we're going to have this one come out and this is going to go all the way to wherever, what is that? Albert? Well, I'm not even going to try. I remember trying to pronounce it last time. Forget it. We're not doing it. We're not pronouncing it. It's just going to go like that. And we're going to have another one that heads all the way out to there and comes all the way back to right about there. And so now that I've done that, if I go ahead and unpause the game, we should see, and we do see, some cargo trains heading out, which is absolutely, absolutely fantastic. Also slow. Oh, wait, no. Oh yeah, it's going to head back towards, that makes sense actually. Okay, so yeah, it's going to head back towards everything. But it's going to be going over the roads. It's going to be going over the top of the roundabout. It's going to look I mean, that looks really cool. That just looks really cool. And then it goes over the top of the roads as well. I mean, the people living here are not going to be thrilled about that. But imagine we put passenger trains up there. How good would that be? So I was about to build the welfare office when this overlay came up, obviously when I selected it. And I got really worried for a second that our welfare in general is just terrible. It technically is, but our citizen well-being generally is okay. So the buildings are green, the roads are red. The roads are red because the coverage sucks. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to build a welfare office right about here. And I think that's a nice spot for it. I think that's a really, really decent little spot for a welfare office. And what I want to do is I kind of want to run a little one-way road around it as well. So that these buildings, like they're all service buildings, or it's a bit of commercial, or it's, the welfare office, which in all honesty, I'm almost tempted to say we should turn around and have facing the other way on the one-way road so that it, benefits from that little bit of traffic control. It's maybe a bit weird, but I mean, this side of it also kind of looks like it could be the front end of the building. So that's kind of okay. I mean, this is a bit more grand, admittedly, but I think that's all right. I think we can get away with having that thing in there. And if we go ahead and just have a look at the welfare overlay now, I mean, the coverage is pretty solid. Obviously, this end of town is suffering a little bit, but this is the place where most people live and the coverage is good. So I'm kind of good with that. And now that kind of leaves us with one other thing in that category, and that's going to be City Hall. Now, this thing, let's be honest, it's 1.6 million for one. It kind of needs to be in its own decorative spot. So I'm not really too sure where it should go. Although I'm kind of eyeing up this space and thinking that, it's a relatively empty space. We could probably do something kind of cool with it. So, what if I was to go in here with some parks and recreation? What if I was to say that I wanted some large parks, some large plazas? If I was to line this road with some plazas or a large city park or whatever else, and then put City Hall behind all of that, it could be kind of interesting. I don't know how well this is going to fit necessarily. So those are all identical, which, I mean, we kind of knew that was going to be the thing, right? We all kind of knew they were going to be identical. I could potentially space these out though. So if I leave a gap of 2 on that side and I move you over by that much, we have a gap of 2 between all of them. So I can play with that. I can deal with that. I can use some paths and stuff like that to make it look good. And so with a few tweaks and a couple of removed plazas, I actually kind of like how this has turned out. Now, I will say, I'm being kind of deliberate in my mission to not place a million trees and bushes by hand this time around, because as much as I love and adore how the cemetery turned out, and by the way, some of the trees in here are starting to grow, so it's starting to look a little bit better. I really don't feel like doing that today. I'm not gonna lie. I love how it looks, but I'm really, really not in the business of placing thousands of bushes by hand to outline these paths. And so I suppose with all of that in mind, as we get ever closer to milestone 9, the forbidden milestone for today, I suppose that is going to do us there for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. There is another video to come. I don't know the date for the next one, but I will let you know as soon as I do. There is a part 3 to Linden City, and as part 3 comes around, I guess that's well, I can ask now, I suppose, do we continue Linden City after the game comes out? Or do we start fresh with everything we've learned from this city? Let me know in the comments below. I'm probably going to ask again in the next video as well, but I'll be curious to see if the answers change. Let's say the city falls apart in part 3. Maybe suddenly the answers go from, yeah, continue it, to no, definitely start again, or never play the game again. Either way, let me know in the comments down below, and let me know what you're excited about when it comes to Cities Skylines 2. There's a lot in here that I am so keen for. Honestly, for me, I'm really keen to start min-maxing the production here, because considering how much production we have, we've gone back to having a deficit of wood. So I would very much like to look into min-maxing my production to just make millions of dollars per hour. That's my goal. Anyway, that's going to do us for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.